RJ who?
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. Welcome into this live reaction postcast edition of the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. Basketball is back, baby. It's an exhibition, but who cares? We are partying. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks so much for joining us right after this game is over. Special shout out to the everydayers joining us, the Locked On Tar Heels Discord members. Join us if you haven't already. And of course, the Locked On Tar Heels insiders. Welcome in. Let's get to it. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Oh, baby, here we go. It's so good to be able to be back doing a live reaction podcast to a basketball game. Obviously, we got to do this after the scrimmage on Saturday, but man, it's just different when it's after a game like this where it's another team and getting to do it. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get to our main observations, our main takeaways. We'll have an ad read or two. Hopefully you're already dropping your overreactions into the chat, because that's what we got to do after a scrimmage, after an exhibition, is just overreact as though it of course matters, because it's an exhibition and it really doesn't. But this is what we do. We'll take your questions. We'll answer those. Going to be a lot of fun. Come on in, buckle up, and hang out. There is nowhere else we can start than Seth the King Trimble. That is his middle name. That he just legally changed it. Absolutely. I don't know if you're aware of that. Look, the biggest question coming into today, we all woke up, our head came off the pillow, and we said, Carolina plays today. Will RJ be in the lineup? About an hour before tip, we learned that he would not be. And, you know, ultimately, I don't know where you're at with it. For me, I feel like in an exhibition setting like this, it's actually can be a blessing in disguise to not have your best player in a game that Carolina just wound up winning 84-76. And so assuming that RJ is fine, which it seems like he's going to be, it's just precautionary to see who you are without the guy that was literally just named ACC preseason player of the year earlier that afternoon today is great. And of course, what happened? Well, we were all wondering, how is Seth Trimble going to follow up those 19 points that he scored on Saturday in the blue-white scrimmage? Oh, no big deal. He dropped 33. His career high before this is 12 points. And obviously, again, it's an exhibition game. It's not real. It's not going to count in any stats or record books or anywhere else. But Seth Trimble, who scored 19 points on Saturday, just dropped 33 points. That's 21 more than he had ever scored before in a Carolina basketball game. 11 of 17 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, and a perfect 8 of 8 from the free throw line at a rebound, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, and 2 steals in 33 minutes. Good grief. Seth Trimble, thank you for not transferring. We knew how grateful we all were that you're back, but my goodness, this is something different. We crown you king. And I love, let's get to our first overreaction. T-Man says, I am now the Seth Trimble lover. He is the best player in basketball. He's better than RJ Davis. He's more athletic than John Morant, who they just played in his building. He's a better shooter than Steph Curry. He's more clutch than MJ and Kobe. I'm right, and I have spoken. Yes, T-Man, give us all the overreactions. Folks, I hope you're bringing your overreactions as well, because that's what we're here for. So with RJ Davis sitting on the bench, to have Seth Trimble come out and do this is phenomenal. Is he going to continue to do it? I don't know. 2 games is still a small sample size, but it ain't nothing. You hear me? That it's more than nothing. Now, let's turn to his backcourt mate, Elliot Cadeau, whose career high in assists last year, his freshman year, was 10. He did that in the game against Tennessee. Had another game where he had 9 assists at Syracuse. No other games of 9 or 10. In the first half of this game, Elliot Cadeau had 7 assists and a turnover. He finishes with 13 assists and 4 turnovers, has a couple there in the second half. And so my overreaction to Elliot Cadeau is Kendall Marshall's sophomore season uploading. Let's get that happening, because this dude comes out and drops a double-double, 11 points, 13 rebounds. Not a great shooting night all around for Elliot, 4 of 11, but he was 2 of 3 from 3. That's encouraging, meaning that he and Seth Trimble combined to shoot 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. And that, friends, is a massive encouragement. So we will certainly take that. And Elliot, I know we had those 4 turnovers, but hear this, 4 steals for Elliot Cadeau. Again, we're overreacting because it's an exhibition and that's what we got to do. But again, same thing I just said about Seth Trimble. It's not nothing. Lots more to say about the players, but what I want to turn my attention to next is the thing that changed this game, because Carolina got down early. It was 27-16. The Tar Heels were down 11 points. They looked, frankly, out of sync and out of sorts. I think part of that is, we don't have our reigning ACC player of the year and leading scorer on the court with us. What do we do and where to turn? I think a lot of people kind of assumed it was going to be Ian Jackson on this night. And we'll get to Ian in a little bit, but yeah, the freshman looked like freshmen, right? Like it just is what it is there. And so it was Seth that was the guy. But here's what I loved. One of the big concerns all offseason has been rebounding, which we'll talk about in a second, and Carolina's defense. How will they defend? Because of, I think the fear that we've all had is the lack of presence inside. But because of Carolina's athleticism and depth in the backcourt, I think maybe we haven't thought enough about how elite Carolina could be with perimeter defense and digging down and doing stuff on interior defense with the guards. To that point, this game turned because of North Carolina's defense to start the second half. It did. That was what made all the difference in the world. I got to get back to my notes on it to see where it was. Okay, in the second half, in the first 4 minutes and 15 seconds, Carolina started the half with a shot clock, forcing a shot clock violation. That's encouraging. And then a block, and then 4 steals. All of that in the first 4 minutes and 15 seconds. I think in that span, Memphis only got, I think it was 2 field goal attempts, made 1, the other was blocked, and 2 free throws. They went 1 of 2 there. In total, in the second half, just in the second half, Memphis had 15 turnovers in the second half for Carolina. 11 steals. Carolina rarely gets to double-digit steals in an entire game. They got 11 in the second half of this game. And I know that they had their fair share of turnovers, but I just want to point out that was what allowed Carolina to turn that 11-point deficit into an 11 or 12-point lead. And then, both teams, let's be honest, it just kind of went down the stretch of this game because it's an exhibition. Like, for example, Memphis didn't even foul late because it's an exhibition, right? But I got to tell you, Carolina turning this game with their defense is a very encouraging sign to me, because what have we said all offseason? We think Carolina is going to be able to score at will and score with anybody in the country, but how will they defend? If they can do this and have this sort of reaction on the defensive side of the court, they're not going to be able to do it time and time and time again, but that was a very encouraging sign for me. Now, let's get to the rebounding, because the rebounding is the other question. Is Carolina going to be able to rebound well? Because Armando Bacot was over there sitting at the scorer's table in this game and not on the floor. And one of the things we got to recognize is it's got to be a gang effort when it comes to rebounding. Everybody's got to be digging in. Everybody's got to be helping with that. And early in the game, all our worst fears were realized. In the first, how long was it? Maybe I didn't write this in my notes somewhere. Gosh, I tweeted it, but it was like in the first 4 or 5 minutes of this game. I'm going to get to it really quick. It's worth me finding this for the stat of it. So bear with me really quick here as we get to it. Okay, here we go. In the first 6:26 of this game, 6 minutes and 26 seconds, Carolina allowed 7 offensive rebounds, but then just 1 the rest of the half and only 2 offensive rebounds in the entire second half. So that means for the final, 33, 34. Carolina only allowed 3 more offensive rebounds and just started getting to the glass at a gang effort, at a gang level effort, and it coming from everybody. Everybody was in on it. And so in totality, Carolina finishes. You want to know who the leading rebounder in this game was? I would give you 3 guesses, and you won't get it until the third guess, if that. Go ahead, make a guess. Jalen Washington? Nope, not the leading rebounder. Jalen Withers? Nope, he was close. He was the second leading rebounder. Where you want to go next? Cade Tyson. Cade Tyson was North Carolina's leading rebounder in this game. And that, friends, is why even though he went 0 for 3 from beyond the arc on Saturday, and even though he was 1 of 6 from beyond the arc tonight, his ability to help in other ways, 9 rebounds, is what he's got to do. Think about everything that Harrison Ingram did kind of from that same position last year. Cade Tyson has already publicly talked about, like, I know that this has to be part of what I need to do to be on the floor in this game. I also love things with Cade Tyson while we're going ahead and talking about him. The 1 3 that he did hit was down in the corner. I think it was from Elliott, and it kind of bounced around, fell in. Literally Carolina's next possession, he's in the same corner, same spot, same pass from Elliott. Pump fake and drives to the rim. Why? Because Cade Tyson is an all-around basketball player. He doesn't just sit and float around the three-point line. I've said it over and over and over again since we landed him. He had more 2-point attempts than 3-point attempts in his career at Belmont and each year individually. And I love that Coach Davis was all on him when he wasn't pulling the trigger, even though he was 1 of 6, man. That is part of what makes Hubert Davis such a good coach, is like, I need you to keep shooting. That's why you're here. Trust it, because you can do it. And we'll say more about Cade when we get to our overreactions, but that's encouraging. Okay, we got lots more to talk about, but we got to stop and take a break and thank our sponsors. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll come back to you with a lot more reactions. Right after I tell you about our good friends at Game Time. We are now less than 3 weeks away from the start of the college basketball season. There's absolutely nothing better than the atmosphere of a college basketball game. You saw it tonight. The anticipation of what's about to happen, the energy of the crowd, the unexpected coming to life, 33 points from Seth Trimble. I'm so geeked out. And I'm thinking back to all the great memories from last season in the Smith Center, like RJ Davis's record-breaking performance against Miami. Well, thankfully, when you're getting your tickets for this season, Game Time can help you do that at a great price. And not even just for sports. Game Time helps you get tickets for all live events. And when you do so, they've got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't got to waste time searching through thousands and thousands and thousands of tickets. So whether it's Game Time ticket coverage, the lowest price guarantee, or the panoramic view from your seat in the app, Game Time has got you covered. Just a couple weeks away, Carolina's opening night tip-off against Elon in the Smith Center. You can get tickets as low as $18 right now on Game Time. Go do it. Don't let anybody beat you there. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Oh, man, it is game time. All right, gang, as we get back here to our live postcast unpacking what happened between Carolina and Memphis tonight inside FedEx Forum, we're going to get right back into this thing. As we do so, I have pulled up the box score for those of you watching on YouTube. If you're listening back to this later, what's up? We're so glad that you're here, and you can find the box score on my Twitter feed or somewhere else. We talked about one of the issues being Carolina's defense and rebounding, particularly in the post. And one of the things that Riley Davis and I talked about on today's show preparing for this game was that immediately right out of the gate, we were going to get some idea about how Carolina was going to do in the paint with bigger bodied defenders. we're thinking like the DJ Burnses of the world, even though he's not at NC State anymore. Part of that is because Carolina was facing off against Dane Danger, who transfers in from Illinois, 6'9", 255 down there in the paint, and Musa Cisse, who transfers back and actually started his career at Memphis. He's 7 foot 230. And so both of those guys present different types of challenges for the Tar Heels. And right away, Memphis goes straight into the post to Dane Danger, who scores against Jalen Washington. Carolina brings no help. I was curious to see what they would do with that. Same exact thing on the next possession. Right back into Danger, one-on-one with Jay Wash. Seth Trimble kind of dug down, not a true double, but just to throw a little wrinkle at him. And Danger settles for a fadeaway. Jay Wash did a good job pushing him out. And then what I'm ultimately trying to look at is how does Carolina fare in the long term? Not just those 1 or 2 possessions to start the game. Once things settle down, how does Carolina look? And where I want to go for that is points in the paint. And when you look at points in the paint for this game, it is not even Memphis who won. It is North Carolina, 44-40. Now, obviously, that is not just big men in the paint. So I want to say more about that in just a second. But the fact that Carolina wins the points in the paint battle is great news. And as for how those guys fared, those bigs, let's look at it right now. Dane Danger, just 5 points on 2 of 6 shooting. He took 2 shots in the first 2 possessions of the game for Memphis, and then only 4 more shot attempts the rest of the game. 1 of 6 at the free throw line, just 2 rebounds, had that technical foul against Elliot Cadeau, did have 3 blocks. Carolina got blocked a lot in this game, but still. And then as for Musa Cisse, he didn't even play. So there's that side of things. And that is what it is. But Carolina held their own against Dane Danger and didn't allow him, frankly, to do very much in this game. Now, another reason I bring up points in the paint was because another thing we were watching for was Carolina's pace and spacing. With no true big, in terms of like a traditional back to the basket big, what is this going to look like offensively for Carolina? Because through the summer pickup game that we saw at camp, through the scrimmage that we saw Saturday, and again tonight, there's a lot of painted area that's wide open. And there are going to be times when you'll see maybe Jay Wash go post up, or Ty Claude, who missed this game along with RJ, might post up, things like that. But that's not going to be or Van Allen Lubin. That's not going to be a staple for Carolina this year. What did you see? You saw a lot more of the guards of the bigs pulling up, getting into some pick and roll game. And Elliot Cadeau, man, that is why I think he's going to make such a killing this year, because he can carve that up. Find the cutter, whether it's Jay Wash or Van Allen Lubin or Jay Witt cutting. And man, that pick and roll game, I think, is going to be vicious and dynamic for Carolina. And it's not just with Elliott. Because of this spacing, it allows Carolina to find an advantage wherever they can and utilize some pick and roll or some give and go. Another example of that was we saw, again, Carolina got down 27-16, eventually tied it. I think, was it at 31 or 33? 31 was the first tie. And the bucket that tied it up was a 2-man game between Cade Tyson and Jalen Withers over on the left wing. Cade found Jay Witt cutting off of their 2-man action. Jay Witt made a nice move to avoid the help defense coming over, layup, tie ball game. Absolutely. Carolina's going to be able to do this all season long. And so I'm really looking to see it. Next point, as expected, we didn't really see any defensive wrinkles from Carolina. I think we will get some throughout this season, but I didn't think we would see any defensive wrinkles tonight, because you don't want to show your cards. You want to play pretty vanilla, and that's what Carolina did. And I thought that was wise from Coach Davis and the coaching staff. So very smart there to be able to do that. Let's talk starters, because that was an important storyline, certainly in this game, especially with RJ Davis being out. It's like, okay, so what is Carolina going to do? So RJ Davis is out. Obviously, Elliott's going to start, and I think we all obviously thought Jay Wash was going to start. The question then is 2 through 4, because you've kind of got this mix with RJ out of like 5 other guys that you think it might be. Some combination of Seth Trimble, Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, Cade Tyson, and Jalen Withers. And Coach Davis, I think unsurprisingly so, chose to go with experience. So it was a starting backcourt of Elliot Cadeau and Seth Trimble. My goodness, we have not talked about Seth Trimble's dunks. He had one in the first half that was absolutely vicious, and then another one in the second half that was what got him over the 30-point threshold off a pitch ahead from Elliott. Oh my goodness. Remember last year when Seth was struggling with decisiveness on finishing? Nah, that man, he's got a bag now. A true offensive bag, and he's going to show it off. Again, 8 of 8 from the free throw line, shooting with confidence from 3. Boy. Okay, anyway, so Coach Davis went with those two guys in the backcourt, Jay Wash, and then elected to start the freshman on the bench and go with Cade Tyson at the 3 and Jalen Withers at the 4. For me, this is a very wise move, and here's why. Number one, you're on the road at FedEx Forum. Again, it's not a crazy hostile environment because it's an exhibition game and we're having fun, but we're playing hard. I mean, both of these teams were playing to win this game. But you're on the road. You want to let these guys just kind of get a moment to settle in and then come in after that. Another part of why I thought it was wise to bring the freshman off the bench was without RJ Davis, you want your other experienced college basketball players to be able to start things. And I liked that it was 4 returning Tar Heels and Cade Tyson, who was in his 3rd year of college. So 4 that are in the Carolina program before this year, plus Cade Tyson. So being on the road, no RJ Davis, start guys that have done it already, and then let Ian and Drake come in and go from there. So the question for me was, with RJ out, who would be in? Like, is it as simple as Coach Davis just switched Seth Trimble and RJ Davis? Like, if RJ had been a go, would we have seen Seth Trimble start this game? And therefore, we wouldn't have got the performance we did. Because now, how do you keep Seth Trimble on the bench? I feel like there's a world right now where you have to legitimately think about starting Elliott, RJ, and Seth, and just going nuclear on, we're just going to out-athlete you and outshoot you, and good luck. And then maybe, based on what we saw tonight, you could go Cade or Jay Witt at the 4. Cade's shot's going to come around. But, man, Jay Witt was active and athletic, doing a lot of stuff. And then Jay Wash, man, did a lot at the 5, had 2 made threes that really helped the Tar Heels, was active. And so it's really interesting to me. I don't know. I would love to hear from Coach Davis. Hey, if RJ had been healthy and in, who would have been the starting 5? Because we're also wondering, like, do one or both of the freshmen eventually work their way in? Obviously not tonight. It's not their night. They're freshmen in a first game on the road. That it's going to be what it was. So I'm really, really curious to see what happens. And again, just because this was the starting lineup tonight doesn't mean it's going to be the starting lineup on Monday, November 4th, when Elon comes to town. Obviously, we're expecting RJ to be in the starting lineup by then. And I think Elliott cemented, and I think Jay Wash is cemented. But the real questions now are at the 3 and 4, because when you've got those 3 guys at 1, 2, and 5, now you got to figure out. I'm going to go ahead and say, based on what we saw tonight, I don't think that either Ian or Drake is starting game 1. Eventually, once they get more settled in, sure. But I think starting at the 3 and 4 on opening night is 2 of the 3 of Seth Trimble, Cade Tyson, and Jalen Withers. One of those guys is going to be on the bench on opening night with the 2 freshmen, in my opinion. Who do you think it'll be? I'm really curious. Because if Seth's going to keep doing this, you cannot put him on the bench. You've got to risk going with those 3 guys, even though it's smaller, 1 through 3. Go Baylor's done it. Other teams have done it. Why not, man? I say go bonkers with it. Okay, let's get to a couple of your overreactions that you sent me before we started. This comes from Emails. Email says, Cade Tyson won't be in the starting lineup for long. Not sure if that's an overreaction, though. I think it is an overreaction. Here's why, Emails. Because it's going to come. Cade Tyson has shot too well for too long for this small sample size of Saturday and tonight to matter. And there's too many other things he's able to do. Getting to the rim, shooting free throws, showed his ability to rebound against a strong, athletic, rugged team. Like, that's what Penny Hardaway has said they want to be. And clearly they were doing it. And Cade Tyson was North Carolina's leading rebounder in this game. Again, that is absolutely crazy to me. And then Ehoff follows up with an overreaction as well. Quote, I think Hubert is more confident in Cade Tyson than he was himself today. Yeah, true. I mean, you saw the reaction. Hubert Davis was animated and getting after it and all this on the sideline because Cade would not pull the trigger at some times when he maybe should have. Another overreaction. I love this one. This one comes from McKinley too. This will be the best offensive team we've seen since the 2009 season due to Jalen Washington's ability to stretch the floor and play inside out. Woo, overreaction, but that is intriguing. I wonder if we've got points per possession from tonight. Not very efficient. Carolina was under 1.988, finished with 84 points. But again, opening night, exhibition game, no RJ Davis. That's understandable. But boy, that is an interesting thought there. As for Jalen Washington, you might not have realized, I asked Riley Davis on today's show, who's going to be Carolina's leading scorer? And we talked about Seth as a follow-up, but he also mentioned, like, the way Elliott's going to distribute, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Jay Wash is right there. And he was Carolina's second leading scorer with 17 points. We've talked about, will Jay Wash's efficiency continue as the minutes go up? 25 minutes. Listen to this. 6 of 7 from the field, including 2 of 2 from 3 and 3 of 4 from 3, 6 total rebounds, 3 of each variety, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 block, 3 steals. Jay Wash, my dude. I apologize and I give you your flowers because I have doubted you. If you can do even remotely this, 17-6 with 2 threes, 3 steals, and a block, come on. Carolina's going to be in great shape. And knowing that you've got Van Allen Lubin and Jay Witt and Ty Claude and these guys to back it up, we've even got a couple James Brown minutes in this game. So there's a lot of possibilities there. Okay, here's what we want to do. There are 98 comments I see over there. So I'm hoping you got a bunch of questions, a bunch of overreactions, because that's what we're here to do, all coming up. And we're going to get to all of that in just a second. Right after I tell you about our great friends at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets as guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. How about some odds to reach the Final Four? You know who leads the way at FanDuel right now? The stinking Dukies. Boo to that. They're plus 190. UConn and Kansas are next at plus 210. Bama and Houston after that at plus 260. Zags, Heels, Iowa State next at plus 420. Rounding out the top 10 is Auburn and Arizona at plus 500. So if you want to get in on those odds or anything else, there's so much great stuff out there already. Go check it all out at FanDuel.com. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Okay. 102 comments right now. Let's see what we're looking at. Hopefully we got some overreactions. I'm very excited for all of those. While I'm looking, I'm going to get some water because I am parched. All right, we're starting with an overreaction from our friend Edward Inslee. Edward says, and actually I think we had this overreaction on Saturday. It might have been from you, Ed, but welcome in. Ed is one of our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders. Join it. You get direct access to me to text. You get access to all my stats and data and all that. 2 weeks free trial, just $5 a month. After that, we'd love to have you. Seth's an athletic freak. He may play himself into a first-round draft pick. Look, given his defensive acumen, his athletic ability that is NBA level, if this scoring, if this offensive side of Seth that we've seen now twice in the past Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days, come on. Yeah, the NBA is going to come knocking, but he's got to prove it. It's got to continue to happen against upper tier competition like a better and more athletic Memphis team than they were last year. So good. Muhammad Diem, this is not an observation or an overreaction, but just says, Where can I watch a recap? Muhammad, I think it will be on if you have access to like ESPN Plus, you can go watch the whole thing on there since this was on ESPNU. There will be, I'm sure, on North Carolina's like Twitter feed and Instagram feed, highlights from the official Carolina basketball account. So go check those places, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it there. A lot of back and forth on Cade Tyson. Luke Fasher says, man, we turned the ball over way too much. Look, a couple things. Game one, it's going to happen. Not even game one, really, exhibition game, it's going to happen. Things got sloppy for both teams down the stretch as they were just kind of, whatever. So there's that. As for Carolina in totality, 21 turnovers. But again, Memphis had 22 turnovers. And so, yeah, very sloppy. Where did the turnovers come from the Tar Heels? 4 for Elliott, 4 for Cade, 3 Seth, 2 each for Jay Wash, Jay Witt, Drake, Ian, and Van Allen Lumen. So there you go. It came from a little bit of everybody. The only person that played for North Carolina without a turnover is James Brown. And that's because he played 2 minutes. So, yeah, multiple turnovers from everybody. They're going to clean that up. Part of it, again, though, is Carolina playing faster this year. We're going to see more turnovers. So I'm encouraged by that. Speaking of those 2 freshmen, look, they both played like freshmen tonight. They didn't look settled in. I thought Drake settled in more than Ian did, specifically in the second half, had a block. I think they both had a free throw offensive rebound. Carolina did a nice job tipping out some free throw rebounds tonight. And so, but I'll say this though, for both of them, it's just freshman jitters, man. You see it. It's written all over their game. They're going to be fine. They just got to settle in, just like the Tar Heels. I mean, they just took a long time to get in to who they were, and we're going to get there. But again, the fact that you go on the road to Memphis without your best player and win by 8, I'm going to take that every day of the week. Okay, let's see if we've got some overreactions. Man, I don't know. Yeah, Nintendo makes a great point here. Nintendo says, imagine what this team can look like when Ian Jackson, Cade Tyson, and Drake Powell find their strides, and RJ is back in the mix. I mean, because Carolina did this, 84 points, Seth Trimble doing what he did, Elliott Cadeau doing what he did, Jay Wash having a night, and we haven't even really talked about, like, I was grateful for what Jalen Withers did. Wasn't an incredibly efficient night, 2 of 7 from the field, missed both threes he took, 2 of 4 from the free throw line, but 8 rebounds. I just felt like he was hustling and active, and I personally was encouraged for that. Carolina had 6 dunks in this game as I'm looking at things. Good stuff there. Okay, anyway, back to it. So Carolina did this and looked this solid, particularly late in the first half, early in the second half, with RJ sitting on the bench, with Ty Clodd sitting on the bench, who I think is going to get some minutes, and Ian Jackson, Drake Powell just being and Cade Tyson not having his shot for this game. And so, that to me is not a bad sign. To me, that is a great sign that the Tar Heels are able to do this, knowing that these guys are all going to come around. Man, that is absolutely a helpful thing. Nintendo says as well, here's Carolina's got to work on free throw shooting, easy points, and gave away too many of them. Carolina, 16 of 25 in this game. At one point, they were 8 of 17. I remember it because it was 8 of 16, and then Cade stepped up and missed one, so that made it 8 of 17. Hit them down the stretch, and I think that was important. But again, I thought critical that Seth Trimble was 8 for 8 from the free throw line, because for his career, he's a 62% free throw shooter. And so if he's going to up that part of his game as well, again, just more good signs from Seth Trimble. And as you're thinking about who can be a third and fourth scorer, That's encouraging, everybody. So just keep being excited and happy about that. Man, there's a lot of good comments. I'm not seeing too many other observations. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get out of here for tonight. Let me just scroll through and see if there's anything else I do want to say before we go. Oh, yes. A couple interesting lineups. There were a couple times when Coach Davis very specifically, oh, and I also want to talk about three-point shooting. That's the other thing we'll get to. Took Elliot Cadeau out of the game. Obviously, RJ's not in, and left Seth to run the show. He's really trying to see where Seth's point guard capabilities are going to be this year. So, for example, at one point it was Seth, Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, and both Jalen's. At one, and then right after that, Jay Witt went out, but Cade came in. So that was interesting because you've got Seth and Ian at the 1 and the 2. Drake and Cade, Drake, Powell, and Cade is kind of a switchable 3 and 4, and Jay Wash at the 5. Man, that is a really interesting lineup. I even think about that of like, once they're rolling, you could switch out any. I mean, there's just so many lineups for this team that are really interesting. We got this again later in the second half. And so there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Okay. I also said I wanted to talk 3-point shooting. In the first half, Carolina was not good. 2 of 13. Cade was out of sync, 0 of 4. Ian was 0 of 3. Jalen Withers, 0 of 2. And the only 2 that hit were Elliot and Seth. So that was not good. But in the second half, Carolina was 6 of 11 with 4 different players hitting a 3. Elliot was 1 of 2, Cade 1 of 2, Seth 2 of 3, and Jay Wash 2 of 2. One of them coming off a blob play where Jay Wash was the one that got the play and did it. So really encouraged with that second half 3-point shooting. But again, got to get the free throw shooting up. But it's the same kind of thing where Carolina was much better at the free throw line in the second half. All right, gang. Man, so fun. There are literally hundreds of you in here hanging out tonight, man. This is what we are going to be in for all season long. So make sure you're ready to tune in on all of these live postcasts because this is what we do. If you are not joined in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, man, you are missing out. The link for that is in the show notes. It's absolutely free to join, and we'd love to have you in there hanging out with us all the time. It's always popping off like during games, and so make sure to get in there. Also, if you would like to go deeper with this show, if you'd like to be able to interact with me one-on-one in an ongoing basis, join the Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program, where you get direct texting access to me. You get kind of privileges with some things like I'll let you in on some insider things I learned before I make it public, things like that. And if you know that I'm big on stats. I make my own record books. I have all these charts and data and stats points that I update after every game. I'm not going to do it for these exhibition games, but once we go live, that link also is in the show notes. Come check it out. 2 weeks free trial and then just $5 a month after that. All right, gang, man, what an absolute joy it is to be together celebrating a Carolina win on the road without RJ Davis, because what's up, Seth Trimble? What's up, Carolina's defense in the second half? And oh my goodness, Elliot Cadeau must be at a waiter because he was dishing out everything in this game. All right, gang, you know the drill. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. I'm going to hop off here, and Coach Pat Kilby and I are going to record tomorrow's show for you. Yeah, this ain't it. You still get a Wednesday show. We're doing What If Wednesday. We're going to react to this game as we do that. On Thursday, Coach Rob and I will be together. I think we're going to react some to these games as well as the ACC preseason poll and other stuff like that. So don't miss a second of it. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.